Hey everybody, welcome to this lesson series on my book, 5-Minute Theory. Each one of the lessons in this book is just a simple worksheet that will teach you some very basic music theory concepts, adding along as we go so that you have a really firm grasp on how to read and understand music. We're going to be working through the percussion book in this lesson series. The book is available for all instruments of the band, so whenever we have a lesson that very specifically deals with an instrument that is different from the other instruments, I'll have a separate video. For example, percussion, we are doing treble clef, but you can also do bass clef. If you're playing tuba, obviously you want to do bass clef. Clarinet's going to have fingering, saxophone, etc., etc. As we go through this, there are two kind of ways that we can work through these lessons. First, you can just kind of watch and do the things along with me, but sometimes we'll have a test where I will encourage you to do the lesson from the book before you watch the video and then use the video just to check your work. All right. Let's get started on lesson number 1. I'm using my handy iPad here to record the screen so that you can follow along with me. Lesson 1 starts from the very beginning on some very basic music theory concepts. So, your name. You can write your name at the top of the page. I'm going to put my name. This is my book. So I want to make sure that if I finish this and I need to turn it in, I can tear off the page and hand it in to my director to see whether I got everything right. All right, so this one is very simple. We're going to start off by learning that the music is written on a staff. A staff has 5 lines. So on this number 1 here, I'm going to draw 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Easy enough. So a staff has 5 lines. We, in percussion, are going to learn to play in the treble clef. It's for high-pitched instruments like bells, clarinet, flute, xylophone. Anything that is a high-pitched instrument uses the treble clef. Low-pitched instruments, such as tuba or trombone or timpani, use the bass clef. I really want you to follow along with me, so grab your pencil and let's learn how to draw the treble clef. So we're going to start from the bottom here, and we're just going to trace the outline here to the top. So notice I'm going below the staff and then above the staff. So try one on your own, go below the staff and then above. It's kind of like a big S. Now we don't want to have the line be straight up and down. So we want it to curve a little bit and lean a little bit. When we get to the top, we just hook the very top. So just do a couple of those and fill in the space. Now the second step of drawing the treble clef is starting at the top and then tracing these dotted lines. Now, when we're drawing the treble clef, we need to keep in mind that the line crosses on the 3rd line from the top, goes all the way to the bottom, and then comes back to the middle. So we got to keep those intersections in mind. That wasn't a really pretty one, but let's try again. 3rd, bottom, middle. That one looks a lot better. 3rd, bottom, middle. Now we're going to do all of that together. We're going to start at the bottom and make one big motion to draw a treble clef. All the way around. All right. We want to make sure that we're using those intersections, that we don't go below the staff with our circle of the treble clef. Okay, let's try another one. You really want to try to be as neat as possible. It's kind of hard for me to write on this iPad. It's a lot easier for me to use a pencil, but once you have done 3, you ought to know what a treble clef is. So, name 3 instruments right here on number 3 that use the treble clef. I already told you other instruments of the band, but can you name any in the percussion section that uses the treble clef? Well, the highest pitch instrument is the bells. Another instrument that we're going to play a lot is the xylophone. And how about another one? Let's do one in the band. What's a high-pitched instrument in the band? How about flute? Okay, so piccolo is a very high-pitched instrument. Flute, clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, French horn, all of those instruments use the treble clef. The other clef that we're going to learn later, if you're learning how to play percussion, is the bass clef, because we have to learn how to read music in the bass clef because we have music in timpani written in the bass clef. All right, turn the page over and let's go to the back half. All right, so now we're going to learn about quarter notes. Quarter notes have two parts to them. A note head, which is the dot, and a stem, which is the line. Okay, so it's pretty simple. You have a dot and a stem. When you have quarter notes on the staff, sometimes the stem goes up and then sometimes the stem goes down. And that just keeps it from interfering with the other music that's on the staff. Okay, so let's start off by coloring a dot. And then we're going to have stems that go up. So we're going to connect it to the right side of the note head and go up. So you can either start from the note head and go up, or what I like to do is start at the top and go down. Now generally, notes that are on the bottom half of the staff, the stems go up. But when you get to the top half of the staff, if we kept the stems going up and we go higher and higher, it would start getting confused with the other music. So we have the stems going down on the bottom half of the staff. So I have a note head and a stem that connects to the left side of the note head and goes down. So color in these note heads and then draw a stem down on the left side of the note head. We'll get into where that actually happens on the staff in a minute. All right, number 6, final one of this lesson. We're going to have some note heads that intersect a line. So sometimes you're going to see a line and a note head that's right in the center of the line. So let's draw a couple of note heads that intersect the line. So here's one on that, and here's another on this line. Okay? Now I'll just add the stem. I'm just going to add both of them on there. Sometimes a note head will be in between the lines. So we fill in the space between these lines, and I can draw a stem that goes down. What we don't want to do is draw our note heads that are so big that they kind of bleed over. So if you have a note head that's in between the lines, we don't want it to be this big, because then you don't know exactly, is that on a line or is that in a space? You're finished with lesson number 1. I don't know if that was 5 minutes with all of my talking and everything, but try to get through all of that lesson. Make sure that you complete each one of those examples.